What an exciting getting result for the upcoming European season between Tottenham Hotspurs and PSG. And guys, honestly, I was proven wrong because I felt like it would be a walk in the park for PSG, but clearly we could see how that match went. PSG haven't had the regular preseason like how Spurs and the other teams have had, but I still expected them. They haven't trained for a couple of weeks now. I think they started training last week or maybe a weekend a few days ago, and yeah, but they still showed up. So, firstly, congratulations to Luis Enrique, PSG, on winning another trophy and then doing their thing again. Even though it was more difficult this time, but they still managed to win some way somehow. And we really have to give them their flowers for putting up this kind of performance because, guys, PSG haven't trained in, if I'm not wrong, in about 2 weeks because their players were on holiday because this is their first match after the Club World Cup defeat to Chelsea, and their players weren't that sharp. And anyone who watched the match could tell that their players were struggling. Passes were going astray. Some of them were not as quick. The likes of Desiree Doué, Hakimi were not like on top of their game like we expect, but they still managed to pull through. And it was a tough match. As I said at the start of the match, even though they hadn't trained for some time, I honestly thought it would be like, oh yeah, Spurs. They have a new manager. I thought they'll be struggling. Even though they have a couple of signings, I expected Spurs to not give this much of a problem to PSG, but I was clearly wrong. So big ups to PSG. Apart from their physical strength, you also have to look at the mental strength of the boys, guys, because these guys were 2-0 down without a preseason, and they still managed to put up a fight against a Tottenham Hotspur team with new players and has had a regular preseason, quite successful. They lost their last match against Bayern, but they've been quite successful in their preseason, and they were almost up to match fitness. So, like, I mean, Luis Enrique is doing good with this PSG team. I don't think this season will be as good as last season, honestly, but I still think that like they are still a force to be reckoned with. One negative I saw in the game for PSG was Luis Enrique starting Zaire Emery, honestly, because I don't see the reason why you have a player like Fabian Ruiz, who was a constant presence in your team, both in the Club World Cup and in the previous season. He was a constant presence in your team, and you know how important he is to the team. And then you bench him and you play a player like Warren Zaire Emery, who is a talented young guy. Don't get me wrong, he's good, but he doesn't fit in the system too, especially in the Fabian Ruiz position. He loses the ball a lot. There's some inexperience showing here and there. So I didn't think it was a good decision. And we also saw it when Fabian Ruiz came inside, the game changed. I heard the commentators even say it that there was like a few changes in the game after Fabian Ruiz came. So that was one negative I could take out of the game. So another big mistake PSG are making doesn't necessarily have to do with this game, just in general. It's letting Gigi Donnarumma go for this new keeper they signed from Lille, if I'm not wrong, Lucas Chevalier. He was the best keeper in League One last season, but I still don't think he's up to Donnarumma level. First of all, he's not that big. I know in modern day football, we like our keepers to be at least 6'4" and above. I know there are some, the likes of Ederson and a few other keepers who are not that big, but are also class. But Donnarumma is 6'6". You have a keeper who is about almost 2 meters tall, and you are letting him go and I don't know the particular reason. I don't know if it has to do with salary or what, but I think it's a big mistake PSG are making. And whoever is going to get Donnarumma, um, I think he's heading to a club in the EPL. I don't know, but whoever is going to get Donnarumma is going to get something special because he's not that old. I think he's 26, 27, and he's a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers can play well into their 30s, so I think that's a poor decision from PSG because Chevalier, this new guy in the penalty shootout, he saved the penalty, but I didn't think he was that guy. I think that's a big mistake. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. So to Tottenham Hotspurs, they had a good game. I mean, from the first half, the second half, late into the game, they were like almost in control of the game, but they slipped at some point and then they bottled. And I know I've seen people say, "Oh, it's the same old Spurs, Spurs this." And guys, I'm telling you, this is not the same old Spurs. I've watched Spurs for years, from Gareth Bale days. This is not the same old Spurs. I think Thomas Frank is the guy for the like. He's actually doing something with the team. This is his first season. This is his first competitive match. Give him a chance. Because the Spurs I'm seeing now, they look like a well-oiled team. There was something about Ange Postecoglou's team that was very clumsy. This guy's team is not. It's not that clumsy Spurs we know. So he's one of my predictions for this season is to do something special. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top four, or he wins like an FA Cup, or makes a deep run in the Champions League. Who knows? Let's see. But I think he's doing something. I mean, Jet Spence had a good game. He kept Hakimi in lockdown for like almost what 90% of the game. Kudus Mohammed had a good game as well. New signing, he was settling. He showed his strength. He could take on players one on one. He still needs more time to, prove that he's worth the 55, but I think he is worth it. He's young, he's our 25. He has time. He has time to show what he can do. He can help Tottenham to the next level. Their defense wasn't bad as well because, as I said, if you remember Ange Postecoglou's team, it was very clumsy. The defense was all over the place, high line, players running back, chase. Like it wasn't that. But looking at Thomas Frank's defense with Kevin Danso and Romero, I mean, those two guys alone are class because I know Kevin Danso is not as popular. He's not. He's now breaking through. He has been on the scene for a while. He's an Austrian international. He played in the Euros and he's a very strong guy. He's quite quick, and we all know Christian Romero, the Argentine legend. Like obviously, he's the new captain now. So looking at this Spurs team, honestly, I'm predicting something special for them. I won't say they'll be in the title conversation or like they'll be in the title race or something, but obviously, this team has something hidden up their sleeves, and what they are doing with the set pieces now, like the sad thing is that they have a player like Madison who is out for a long time with, I don't know if it's an ACL injury or something, but it's a serious injury. And then I hear they are trying to sign Eze as a replacement. And if Tottenham get Eze, guys, if Spurs get Eze in that team, I, I'm I'm not one to make like wild claims, but I think they can be in the title race because Eze is a game changer. Look at what he's doing. Look at what he did at Crystal Palace. He dragged them to an FA Cup. He dragged them to the Community Shield. And imagine if Spurs get him in that team. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So that's it for the Super Cup, and it looks like the season has a bright future. So let's see what happens, guys. All right.